She traveled light years to be his bride, but found him with a family already. Until his kids call her Mom. The starship Aurora cut through the endless sea of space, its hull glimmering with the reflected light of dying suns. Inside, Elara adjusted her silver veil, her trembling fingers betraying a storm she tried to suppress. After 12 years in cryo-sleep, 12 years of dreaming about one man, she was finally arriving at Earth. Captain Yarrick Rowan, her promised, her bondmate across the stars. Back when she was a medical envoy stationed on Eryndor 9, Yarrick had been part of the Earth Coalition sent to assist their people. They'd fought, laughed, and nearly died together when the storms came. When his ship was forced to return to Earth, he'd made her a vow that when Earth was ready for off-world arrivals, he'd call for her. When the stars between us fade, he'd said, holding her hand beneath the twin moons, I'll be waiting on the blue planet. And now that time had come. Elara's heart thundered as the shuttle descended through the atmosphere. The clouds parted to reveal Earth's oceans, alive with color and motion unlike anything in her world of violet skies. She clutched the small crystalline ring around her neck, his gift, and whispered, I've come home, Yarrick. The house was simple, sitting at the edge of a quiet town beside the sea. She'd found it easily. His name was still listed in the Earth Registry. When she approached the door, her steps slowed, her breath catching with anticipation. Would he recognize her? Would he still want her? The door opened before she could knock. A woman, human with soft brown hair, stood before her, holding a toddler on her hip. Behind her, the laughter of another child echoed from within. Yes, the woman asked politely. Elara's throat constricted. I'm looking for Yarrick Rowan. The woman smiled. He's just out back. You can come in. Before Elara could respond, a familiar voice called out, deep and warm, the same voice that had haunted her dreams. Who's there, Mara? And then he appeared, older, broader in the shoulders, a streak of silver through his dark hair. The years had carved lines around his eyes, but those eyes, they were still the same. Elara felt her knees weaken. Yarrick! He froze. His breath hitched. Elara! The silence that followed was thick and unkind. The woman's eyes darted between them. Yarrick! Elara whispered again, her voice breaking. You sent for me. I traveled across light years because you said. I didn't think you'd ever come, he said quietly, almost painfully. It's been 12 years. Her gaze shifted to the woman, his wife, and the children, the little girl who looked so much like him. Her chest tightened as if gravity had doubled. That night, she stayed in a small guest house near the coast. She couldn't bring herself to leave immediately. Her body still ached from the long cryo-sleep, and her heart was too numb to plan her next move. The human news feeds whispered of politics and colonies, but all she could hear was the echo of his voice. When the stars between us fade. He had meant it once. She knew that. But the stars hadn't faded. They'd burned her alive instead. The next morning, a soft knock came at her door. When she opened it, 2 small figures stood before her, a boy and a girl. The boy, maybe 7, held a tiny seashell. Daddy said you came from the stars, he said proudly. Is that true? Elara blinked, unsure how to answer. The girl tugged at her robe. Mommy said you knew Daddy a long time ago. Did you come to see us? Something broke inside her. She knelt to their level, the sea breeze tangling her silver hair. Yes, she whispered, her voice trembling. I came to see you. The children giggled and placed the shell in her palm. Now you're part of the family, the boy declared solemnly. Tears pricked her eyes. Part of the family. Yeah, the girl said, grinning. "You're our space mom." Elara's breath caught. Space mom. The title was innocent, meant only as a child's fancy, but it shattered her heart in the gentlest way possible. From the distance, Yarrick stood watching. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes carried the same sadness she felt. That evening, as the sunset spilled gold across the sea, Yarrick came to her. "I didn't forget you," he said softly. "After the war, the portal program shut down. I tried to reach you, but communication collapsed between systems. Years passed. I thought you were gone." "I wasn't," she whispered. "I waited. Every day. Every orbit." He looked down. "Mara. She was there when everything fell apart. I didn't plan any of this. But she saved me, in ways I didn't know I needed saving." Elara nodded, though her chest ached. "And now you have a family." He hesitated. "They know about you. The kids. They asked if they could see you again tomorrow." Her lips trembled. "Tomorrow?" He smiled faintly. "They said you promised to teach them how to talk to the stars." Elara laughed softly through her tears. "I can do that." Days passed, and the ache in her heart began to soften into something quieter. She taught the children to map constellations, to listen for cosmic winds through the old communication crystals. They called her Star Mom, a name that felt like both a blessing and a farewell. Mara, kind and knowing, never once treated her coldly. "He still dreams of you," she said one evening as they watched the children play. "But life doesn't always wait for dreams." Elara smiled faintly. "No, but sometimes dreams find new stars to shine through." When it was finally time for her to leave, the children clung to her hands. "Will you come back?" the boy asked. She looked at Yarrick, at his quiet sorrow, his gentle nod, and said, "Always. When you look at the night sky, I'll be there." As the shuttle lifted off, she pressed the sea shell to her heart. Through the viewport she saw them, Yarrick, Mara, and the children, waving beneath the fading sun. She had come across light years for love. And though she didn't find the future she dreamed of, she found something far greater. A family who looked to the stars and called her Mom. As the shuttle's engines hummed to life, Elara's reflection shimmered against the glass. Eyes bright with tears, lips curved in a wistful smile. Below, the small coastal home grew smaller, the family waving until they were no more than dots against the golden shore. Yarrick stood with an arm around Mara, their children clinging to them, still searching the sky. Elara could almost hear their voices through the hull, laughter calling her name, the little girls shout, "Bye, Star Mom." Her hand pressed to the viewport. "Goodbye," she whispered, "my stars." In her palm, the seashell pulsed faintly with the warmth of their touch. She tucked it beside the crystal ring Yarrick had once given her, symbols of two loves, one lost to time, the other born from it. The pilot's voice crackled through the intercom. "Coordinates set for Eryndor 9. Ready for departure." Elara took a steady breath. "Engage." As the ship lifted into the deep, she watched Earth fade beneath a veil of clouds. Yet, for the first time, she didn't feel alone. The children's laughter, Yarrick's voice, and Mara's kindness lingered in her heart, an unbroken thread between worlds. Love, she realized, wasn't bound by vows or distance. Changed, adapted, like starlight refracted through the void. When the Aurora crossed into orbit, she gazed out at the sea of stars and smiled. Somewhere down there, two small hearts would be looking up, tracing her path across the night.